from Orlando, some of the survivors or the victims, families are watching, or friends and families, be prepared that when you speak out, you will be harassed.
Busted! 100% proof that Sandy Hook was a hoax.
All these so-called mass shootings are fake.
You are going to be harassed on social media. People are going to call your house. They're going to get your work phone number. They're going to threaten you. They're going to tell you that you're part of a conspiracy. You're going to be victimized all over again.
All of these links here are... There are many conspiracies, one of which is that he is an actor and he never really died, and that we are all actors.
You're going to die. Death is coming to you. You're going to die. Not hell.
I tried to not focus on it too much because, after all, the truth is the truth, and it cannot be changed.
What's frustrating, too, is with certain, my family members the ones who don't even own guns, they buy into that propaganda, the nonsense that this never happened or it was a government false flag operation to take away people's guns, which is absolutely absurd.
I think Australians would be shocked to know that if you Google the name of your son, that there are websites that suggest that he did not even die.
Or exist. Because if you deny something exists, then you don't have to deal with it.
Probably the most despicable family in the whole Sandy Hook saga. It's all fucking bullshit.
I have to absolutely defend the memory of my son.
Unfortunately, human nature can have a very dark side.
Let me say something to every political hack pretending you know an AR-15 from a double-barreled shotgun in the wake of the Orlando terror attack. Stop talking.
With substantial financial backing from America's arms makers, the NRA spends more than $200 million a year promoting and defending gun ownership.
I was a SEAL for 12 years. Now I train average everyday Americans to protect themselves and their families. The only way for us to stay free was by having whatever guns the bad guys have. This firearm gives average people the advantage they so desperately need and deserve to protect their life, liberty, and happiness.
The NRA has support in the dark corners of the internet too.
It definitely fuels the conspiracy.
Incredibly, since Noah died, the Posners and relatives of other Sandy Hook victims have been fending off so-called gun truthers, online trolls and conspiracy theorists who claim Sandy Hook never happened or was part of a plot to take away guns.
Now here's the phony, fictional, computer-generated Photoshop boy, the boogeyman, Adam Lanza.
All of these links here are of YouTube videos that have been taken down.
Right, okay, so
they're gone.
Noah's dad, Lenny, has dedicated himself to outing them on his own website and having the fake sites removed.
You didn't want us to show your face. Can you explain why?
Because of all of the threats against me, all of the hate, all of the death threats. There's an active FBI investigation, and it's part of my concern, part of staying vigilant.
What are they saying about your family and about Noah?
Well, there are many conspiracies, many theories, many things that are being said, but one of which is that he is an actor and he never really died, and that we are all actors. It's just another anomaly in the land of conspiracy theorists. Different. When things don't add up for them, they don't need to connect. 3 years ago, every single photo was of this type. You wouldn't see anything real of Noah.
Then your hard work is paying off.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
But they aren't all faceless on the fringes of the internet.
KU professor strikes a nerve here and across the country over his claim that the Newtown massacre was a hoax tonight.
James Tracy, a communications professor at a Florida university, writes that the Sandy Hook mass shooting was an elaborate hoax designed to pass gun control laws. He even sent Lenny Posner a letter requesting evidence his dead son was real.
There's a lot of emotion involved with something like this. Is there anything that you want to say to that person at home that's going to throw their shoe at the TV and say, this guy is a total nut?
Well, I think that we need to, as a society, look at things more carefully. Perhaps we, as a society, have been conditioned to be duped.
Tracy was sacked earlier this year.
I think that was a very strong success. I think it's a very powerful statement to make that that sort of behavior, that sort of activity is not acceptable. A lot of people that are conspiracy theorists and online throw around this freedom of speech concept, but that's not how it's defined. That's not what it means. It's not a protection from abusing people.
I'm just sort of a bit in awe of you that you are able to just take this on as almost as a duty, as something that you have to do, because when I look up those sites and read what's written, I would just feel absolutely gutted. I mean, I don't know how you manage not to just feel such a heavy, heavy sadness about it.
I do, and I can't really explain why I've chosen that path, but it really is not something that I stop and think about. It really is the only choice for me to make. Someone is treating the memory of my son that way, and I have to absolutely defend the memory of my son. I have no choice. And conspiracy theories erase history. They erase our memories. And how will this event be remembered 100 years from now? We may not remember any of this. And so I think it's important, the work that I'm doing.
Fighting Spider-Man, and Spider-Man defeated the Goblin.
When I first came to Sandy Hook in the days after the tragedy, it was December. The town covered in snow and ice, a bleak atmosphere to match the mood. Now there's a sense of renewal. The years have passed and the seasons have changed, but being back in Sandy Hook, you cannot forget the horror that this town went through. Many thought that it would be the line in the sand when it came to guns in the US, that change would be immediate, but it's been much slower than that. How does a town like Sandy Hook recover from something like that?
You never recover. You just go on. And, you know, what I want people, you know, in the United States to realize is, you think this won't happen to you. You think that, oh, well, you know, you hear about it on the news, it's tragic, and, you know, you can relate to it in some ways, but you think, wow, that was really awful. But then you go on with your life, and I tell every community, you better have a plan in place now. Do your school shooter lockdown drills, really assess, you know, your security thoroughly, scenario plan, and plan for the aftermath.
So where do you guys think we should set up in our usual place over here where we always go?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Eric Milgram's daughter Lauren was in the same grade as Noah at Sandy Hook Elementary School. She survived by hiding in a bathroom with Noah's twin sister.
And they knew something bad had happened. They heard the screaming, the shooting. You got to remember, this was an event that was so severe that seasoned first responders, people who've been on, you know, sites of shootings, car wrecks and whatnot beforehand, you know, many of them said this is the worst trauma, tragedy I've ever seen in my lifetime. But on top of that, some of those people were permanently disabled. You know, what they saw that day of the shooting was so severe that they just couldn't work anymore. Can you imagine, though, what that does to a 6 or 7 year old when they see something like that? I know for a fact that Lauren, she did see things that she will not talk about to anybody. And this has changed her personality You know, and it's hurtful to watch because beforehand she was so confident, so outgoing. And in the months after the shooting, she really clammed up, closed up.
Eric and his family stayed in Sandy Hook. He's got a sad warning for the families and friends grieving after the tragedy in Orlando.
Be prepared that when you speak out, you will be harassed. You know, you've gone through a horrible trauma. Be prepared that you are going to be harassed on social media. People are going to call your house. They're going to get your work phone number. They're going to threaten you. They're going to tell you that you're part of a conspiracy. You're going to be victimized all over again.
What do you think is the worst thing you've heard with the conspiracies?
That it never happened, that Sandy Hook never happened, or it was a government false flag operation to take away people's guns, which is absolutely absurd. There are far better ways, you know, to do that than to stage a shooting like this.
He's now part of a community group lobbying for more stringent background checks on gun buyers and thinks what happened here has raised awareness. Even so, he's not sure whether the type of gun that killed so many of his daughter's classmates should be totally banned.
The official position of the organization for which I'm a spokesman, the Newtown Action Alliance, they are fully 100% behind an assault weapons ban. My personal opinion, just to separate them, I don't know if I would go quite that far yet, but I do believe that we need to look at how assault weapons are sold, marketed, distributed, and we need to make changes.
In an effort to force change, the families of some Sandy Hook victims, including Noah Posner's parents, are suing the manufacturer of the gun used to kill their kids.